Some people get suspicious when their wife suddenly changes her perfume. Me? I started asking questions when mine began jogging laps around a yacht at 2 a.m. We were 3 days into a 10-day second honeymoon cruise along the Amalfi Coast. The yacht, the Serafina, was a 120-foot floating Instagram backdrop. Everything was white. The walls, the wine, the smiles. Even the waves had manners. Dana had booked it all. Said we needed reconnection. Said the stress of suburbia was killing our rhythm. Said it was time to remember why we fell in love. That was rich. We'd barely finished unpacking before she pulled out a brand new workout set. Matching teal leggings and a sports bra with a motivational quote etched in gold. Strong is the new soft. Then she hit the top deck. Alone. Every night. The first 2 nights, I let it go. It was vacation. Maybe she really was trying to feel better. She'd started doing yoga with that divorcee group back home. So fine, maybe fitness was the new therapy. But it wasn't just the jogs. It was the makeup, the perfume, the fact that she got dressed up to go walk laps under the moonlight. Who's up there? I asked once. Just the stars, she said, smiling like I'd said something cute. I looked around the room. She'd brought 4 different shades of lipstick. For a vacation on a boat. That's when I synced her smartwatch to my phone. Here's the thing about rich people. They love data. Calories, steps, REM cycles. Dana tracked it all. Sleep scores became status symbols. Heart rate graphs were proof of commitment. She once bragged about hitting 145 BPM during a Pilates session. But that week, she was setting new records. Every night around 2 a.m., her heart rate would spike. Not gradually, not like a run. More like a roller coaster. A slow incline, then a sharp jump. Every spike lasted about 17 minutes. You don't need a cardiologist to read between those lines. I checked the GPS log. It was always the same location. Deck 2. Starboard side. Captain's quarters. I didn't confront her. I didn't need to. Instead, I booked something. A surprise. Something sentimental. We'd been married 13 years, and on our 3rd anniversary, we renewed our vows in a park with plastic chairs and a guy named Mike who charged by the hour. This time, I told her I wanted to do it right. Private ceremony. Sunset on the deck. Close friends on board. Champagne, flowers, new rings. Dana's eyes lit up. She clutched her chest like I'd just proposed again. Oh my God, she whispered. You really mean it? I smiled. I really do. What I didn't tell her. I'd invited one extra guest. The captain's wife. There's something sickly satisfying about planning a vow renewal you know is fake. Like preparing a stage for a play where everyone thinks it's a wedding, but you're the only one holding the script for a funeral. Dana threw herself into it. I didn't have to lift a finger. She picked the flowers, white orchids and blush peonies, same as our original wedding. She ordered a custom sign. Still us. Still forever. She even picked her own dress. Silk, cream, off the shoulder. Expensive, elegant, and ironic, considering she was planning to walk down the aisle while sneaking down the hallway at 2 a.m. I let her plan everything. I just made one addition. The sound guy. His name was Luca. Young, tanned, spoke English like it cost extra. He ran all the yacht's AV equipment. Music, intercom, party lighting. Most guests treated him like furniture. Smile, nod, tip at the end. But I tipped him at the start. Slipped him €200 and said, during the vow renewal, I'm going to give a toast. When I do, I want you to play an audio clip through the intercom system. He blinked. What kind of clip? You'll know it when you hear it. I handed him a flash drive. He shrugged. Said, romantic surprise? I smiled. Something like that. I got the audio the night before. Dana had left her phone charging in the stateroom while she went to get fresh air. Translation, cardio with a view. While she was gone, I plugged it into my laptop and opened her messages. I'd done it before. Nothing new. Same pattern, same names. But this time I wanted sound. And lucky me, the yacht had Wi-Fi. And Dana? She had voice-to-text enabled. Her messages were all dictated. Hot whispers, badly punctuated, sometimes breathy. I hit record. Just one line. The last one she sent that night, exactly 3 minutes after her heart rate spiked to 152. You make me feel more alive than he ever has. I want every night to be like this. I added a second clip, too, from earlier in the trip. He's so gullible. Honestly, I could tell him the dolphins gave me a massage and he'd believe it. Both were time-stamped, labeled, packaged. themed audio for a special evening. The day of the ceremony arrived like a postcard. Gold light on water. No clouds. No wind. Just endless sea and smiles. We were anchored just off the Amalfi Coast, where every photo looks like a desktop background. Dana looked like a movie star. Lipstick. Hair curled like a bridal ad. A spray tin that cost more than our dishwasher. She kissed me on the cheek and whispered, "You're really doing this for us?" I smiled. "You have no idea." The guests gathered at the bow. 15 people. Friends. A few couples we'd met on the trip. And 2 I'd invited under a fake name. Mr. and Mrs. Dalton. Quiet. Dignified. She wore pearl earrings and carried a designer clutch. He wore loafers with no socks. They said very little. But when they walked past the captain, I saw it. A flicker. Recognition. Panic. Buried under a polished smile. I tipped my glass to him. He didn't nod back. The ceremony started. Luca dimmed the lights just enough to make the candles pop. Soft music played. The same track Dana walked down the aisle to 13 years ago. She squeezed my hand. Her eyes were glassy. I almost believed her. Almost. The officiant gave his speech. Short, tasteful, tailored to our journey. I went first. Said a few lines I copied from Google. Talked about love. About trust. About how the ocean can hide things for a while, but always gives them back. Dana giggled at that. Thought it was poetic. Then it was her turn. She launched into a teary-eyed monologue about resilience and growth. Half the guests were misty-eyed. Even I almost clapped, until I raised my glass and said, "And now, a toast." The yacht fell quiet. I looked at Luca. He pressed a button, and Dana's voice filled the air. "You make me feel more alive than he ever has. I want every night to be like this." Then, he's so gullible. Honestly, I could tell him the dolphins gave me a massage and he'd believe it. Silence. Long. Heavy. Someone dropped a fork. Dana froze. Her mouth opened, then closed. The captain? He didn't move. But his wife? She did. She stepped forward, lifted her champagne flute, and threw the contents right in his face. Gasps. Then chaos. And me? I just smiled. Because the sea doesn't keep secrets. And tonight, neither did I. The silence after her voice played was longer than the entire cruise itinerary. Dana stood like she'd been unplugged, jaw twitching, hands twitching more, like her body couldn't decide whether to scream or faint. Her wine glass tilted in her grip until the stem gave out, shattering on the deck between us. And then came the sound I hadn't planned for. A slow, deliberate clap. 3 beats. Sharp. Clean. From the woman in the pearls. The captain's wife. She took a step forward, pointed at Dana with the kind of calm that only comes from knowing you're about to upend someone's entire existence, and said, "You know what's funny? He said you were just someone to talk to." Dana blinked. Her lips moved, but nothing came out. Mrs. Dalton, that wasn't her real name, of course, pulled a folded napkin from her clutch and dabbed at her mouth like she was sitting at brunch. Then she walked over to the captain. He didn't flinch, didn't run, didn't even look surprised. Just took it. The wine. The words. The shame. His face. Earlier sun-warmed and cocky. Now looked like a man who'd just remembered exactly how divorce lawyers bill their hours. Mrs. Dalton didn't slap him. Didn't scream. She did something far worse. She smiled, tossed her napkin at his feet, and said, "Check the crew manifest. My lawyer's name is on it." By the time the guests started whispering, Dana had vanished below deck. A few followed her, but most stayed where they were, stunned, frozen in the glow of fake candlelight and a real catastrophe. I stayed too. No rush. Luca, my sound guy, nodded at me from behind the bar like he'd just watched a Broadway matinee. "You want the mic back?" he whispered. I waved him off. The silence was louder than anything I could say. Someone from the cocktail crowd clinked their glass against mine and muttered, "That was surgical." I sipped. Didn't smile. Didn't gloat. Just watched the captain walk stiffly toward the bridge, shoulders tight, as the ocean breeze finally turned cold. Dana didn't speak to me for the next 2 days, which made things simple. We still had 4 nights left on the cruise, and to her credit, she didn't demand to leave early. Too much pride. Too many eyes. Instead, she stayed in the stateroom and played sad music at just loud enough a volume that I couldn't pretend not to hear it. Taylor Swift, mostly. The slow ones. I slept on the balcony. It was quieter out there. The sea has no need for apologies. On the 5th day, we docked near Capri for a lunch excursion. I joined a small group, nothing formal. Just a few of the guests who hadn't been implicated in marital demolition. We drank Aperol spritzes and shared stories like veterans of a tasteful war. Someone asked what I planned to do next. After this, I said, I was thinking, maybe a memoir. They laughed. I wasn't joking. That night, Dana showed up on the deck again. Not in workout gear. No makeup. No perfume. Just her. She sat beside me at the bow, arms folded, eyes bloodshot. I'm guessing you recorded everything? No, I said. Just what mattered. She looked out at the water. So what happens when we dock? You'll call your sister. Stay with her a while. And you? I'll stay here for a bit. Then go home. File papers. Silence. Then, softer. You really never loved me anymore, did you? I turned to her. I did. That's why this hurt. She nodded once. And didn't cry. Just stood up, walked back inside, and closed the door. No slam. No speech. Maybe, for once, just a little dignity. The night before we reached port, I left a tip envelope for Luca. 500 euros. And a note. Sometimes the microphone says what the heart's too tired to scream. He left a smiley face on my cappuccino saucer the next morning. No words. Didn't need any. On the final day, the yacht eased into the Naples harbor under a perfect sky. Dana was already gone, caught an early tender with a duffel and a fake smile. I stayed behind to pack. Before I left, I stood alone at the same spot where we'd renewed our vows. Looked down at the faint wine stain from her dropped glass. Then up at the sky. No clouds. No lies. Just wind, truth, and waves. I didn't say goodbye. To Dana. To the captain. To who I'd been before I heard her voice over the speakers. I just walked down the dock and started planning a new kind of cruise. The kind where nobody pretends they're still in love. They say salt water heals everything. That's a lie. What it does, really, is preserve. It keeps things suspended, untouched, like secrets stored in amber. That's how I felt in the weeks after the yacht. Not healed, not even angry, just preserved. Floating above the wreckage, watching it all sink behind me, bubble by bubble. When I got home, the air smelled different. Cleaner. No candles. No curated music playing on Bluetooth. Just silence and my suitcase thumping against the wood floors. Dana's shoes were gone from the rack. Her coats. That fake fur shrug she wore when she wanted to feel glamorous at Trader Joe's. Gone. She left the mail key, though, and the charger I always borrowed. And a sticky note on the fridge. I'm sorry for embarrassing us. Us. Still talking like there was an US. Cute. The neighborhood was already buzzing. Turns out you can't drop a betrayal bomb from international waters and expect it not to wash ashore. Mrs. Dalton, I later learned her name was Clara, didn't waste time. By the time Dana landed, Clara had posted a reflection blog with her own receipts, screen grabs of texts, screenshots from the yacht guest manifest, even a voicemail where the captain told her, "Don't come on this trip. There's nothing for you here." It got picked up by a couple of mid-tier relationship podcasts. You'd be surprised how fast one woman's pain becomes another woman's Friday night content. By Monday, Dana had deleted all her socials. By Wednesday, someone left a bottle of rose on my doorstep with a post-it, "To the captain of receipts. Cheers." No signature. Didn't need one. The neighborhood had picked sides. I kept to myself. But that didn't mean I didn't notice things. Like how our mutual friends started asking me to brunch. Just you, not her. Or how the couples who once fawned over Dana's party planning now asked me for help organizing a weekend retreat. Or how Greg from next door, the one who always looked like he had something stuck in his teeth when I brought up Dana, now waved with actual eye contact. I wasn't celebrated, but I was respected. That's new. One afternoon I got a message from Clara. 3 sentences. "Thank you. I didn't think anyone else would ever make him squirm. If you're ever in Rome, Aperol's on me." I never replied. Didn't have to. Sometimes power is knowing you could, but choosing not to. Dana's sister reached out, too. Not to apologize. Not to defend. She wanted to talk logistics. Dana doesn't want to fight, she said. She just wants out. I told her she could have the houseplants. The matching luggage. Even the espresso machine I never figured out how to use. I kept the patio set. And the speakers seemed fair. When the papers came, I didn't flinch. Signed them at the kitchen table with a pen I'd stolen from the yacht's bar. Still had the boat's logo on it. Still wrote smooth. The line for reason of divorce was optional. I left it blank. Let the silence speak. 6 months passed. Then 9. The cruise company rebranded. New colors, new logo, same lies. Clara got a book deal. Dana got quiet. I started running in the mornings, real running, not the kind you use to disguise adultery. Just me, the sidewalk, and a playlist of instrumental scores. No lyrics, no voices, just rhythm, one foot in front of the other, until the pain faded into something like peace. I saw the captain again, in a tabloid. Apparently, he got remarried. Quickly. To a travel influencer with a 1,000-watt smile and a sponsorship with a sunglass company. The article called him Italy's most eligible skipper. I laughed, then closed the tab. No point rereading old stories when you've already written the better ending. And me? I don't cruise anymore. Not like that. But I do host events. Small ones. Private dinner parties. Backyard nights under string lights and quiet laughter. People ask about the yacht sometimes. Not the scandal, but the scenery. They say, that must have been the most beautiful place on earth. I nod. Then pour another drink. And say it was. Until she opened her mouth. Because salt doesn't heal everything. But it does make people thirsty. There's a specific kind of silence that follows a public betrayal. It doesn't show up immediately. Not after the toast. Not even after the confrontation. It's quieter than that. It arrives weeks later, slipping in during moments people mistake for peace. Like when you're folding laundry and you realize the scent on your clothes hasn't changed, but the person you wore them for is gone. That kind of silence showed up on a Tuesday. No warning. Just me, a fresh cup of coffee, and the sound of my own breathing. For the first time in over a decade, it didn't sound like I was eavesdropping on someone else's life. It sounded like mine. They say people don't change. I don't think that's true. I think they just become better at hiding the parts of themselves that never stopped growing in the dark. Dana wasn't always unfaithful. She wasn't always cruel. But she was always performative. Always needed an audience. The applause. The narrative. The yacht? That wasn't a vacation. It was a stage. A set. A floating showroom for her own curated redemption arc. And when the lines didn't go the way she rehearsed them, she crumbled. But I didn't. Because while she was busy writing fiction in her head, I was collecting facts in the real world. Smartwatches. GPS logs. Voice to text. There's a brutal elegance in betrayal that documents itself. You just have to know where to listen. After the cruise, people tried to tell me how to feel. You must be devastated. Must feel good to get revenge. She never deserved you. They meant well. But the truth is, I didn't feel any of those things. I didn't feel victorious. Didn't feel vindicated. What I felt was grounded. Like I'd been spinning for so long inside her narrative that I forgot I had feet. And now, I was standing still for the first time. It was quiet. It was cold. But it was mine. My phone lit up with messages for weeks after the video leaked. Yes, someone recorded the moment. Luca again, probably. It made the rounds in a private travel group before someone clipped the audio and posted it to TikTok with the caption, Yacht Club Karma. There were articles, reaction videos, comments, thousands of them. Some people thought it was fake. Some thought I was a hero. Some just wanted to know where I got the sound guy. But the one message that stayed with me came from a username I didn't recognize. Just 3 words. You gave me courage. That was enough. That was everything. Dana moved away. Or so I heard. Left our town. Started over in some smaller city with fewer yacht jokes and less recognition. No one saw her much. A few friends mentioned she looked thinner. More serious. Wore less makeup. Someone said she started therapy. Someone else said she started drinking. Maybe both are true. Or neither. I stopped asking. Because some people, when their masks fall off, start building new ones. Me? I started building something else. The house changed. Not in some symbolic, scorched earth way. I didn't repaint the walls or smash the mirror where she once practiced her fake tears. But I did reclaim it. Every drawer. Every light switch. Every corner where I once felt like a guest in my own life. I started hosting again. Small gatherings. No speeches. Just friends, real ones, who didn't need a performance to feel entertained. Sometimes someone would raise a glass and say, to honesty. And everyone would laugh like it was a joke. But we all knew it wasn't. Not anymore. I kept the flash drive. Not out of spite. Not as a trophy. But as a reminder of how easy it is to ignore what's right in front of you when you're desperate to believe the lie. The audio file is still there. Her voice. Soft. Confident. Delusional. I haven't played it since the yacht. Don't need to. but it's there, in case I ever forget how silence can be weaponized, or how truth, delivered properly, doesn't need a raised voice. It just needs a microphone. A year after the cruise, I took a vacation. Not to Italy, not to anything fancy, just a cabin near the mountains. No Wi-Fi, no yacht, no dress code, just snow, firewood, and a silence that didn't feel like absence. It felt like autonomy. One night, I sat by the fire and reread my old vows. Not to Dana, to myself. The ones I should have written 13 years ago. I rewrote them on the back of a receipt. Nothing poetic. Just, I will never again make myself smaller for someone else's spotlight. I will never ignore data in favor of dreams. I will never underestimate the power of calmly timed truth. I folded it, put it in my wallet. Still carry it today. The world didn't end when the marriage did. In fact, it got louder, richer, sharper, more honest. Turns out, when you stop scripting your life to please an audience that never clapped anyway, you start hearing your own voice again. And mine. It doesn't shake anymore. Not even when the sea gets rough. Because I've already been through the storm. And I came out dry. Subscribe to the channel